A common mistake against a push is either rushing the contact point or getting jammed by the ball. I'll teach you how to fix this. You need to time your backswing with the incoming ball. If the opponent's push is slow, your backswing must match that rhythm once you've judged the ball's position. If the ball is slow, use a slow backswing, then execute the shot. If the ball is fast and your backswing is slow, you will get jammed. If the ball is fast, our backswing must also be fast to keep up. Let me demonstrate this again. After my serve, if the return is slow, I use a slow backswing. If it's fast, I use a quick backswing. The tempo of your backswing must adapt to the pace of your opponent's push or serve. For instance, on serve return, a slow backswing will get you jammed because the serve is fast and you're not ready in time. Second, when attacking a push after your serve, why do so many shots go into the net? It's because you feel the contact point is never in the most comfortable position. Let's discuss the optimal contact position. First, let's look at the height. Observe the height of my racket at the moment of contact. Is the contact point above the table, level with the table, or below the table's surface? Normally, you won't contact the ball below the table, unless executing a high loop. I was just hitting at the peak of the bounce. Personally, I feel the contact height is about level with the table, perhaps slightly above, but definitely not at the absolute highest point. If you hit at the very peak, I've already finished my forearm snap. In slow motion, you can see my contact point is level with the table. The reason amateurs struggle with positioning is that most of them swing too early. If I want to hit a power loop, my contact point is around table height. Most amateurs, however, hit the ball while it's still high above the table, which often causes it to go into the net. Contacting the ball high above the table means you didn't wait for it to start its descent. You start your swing the moment the ball bounces, resulting in contact even before the peak of its trajectory. For amateurs, with slower footwork and anticipation, the optimal time to swing is just as the ball starts dropping from its peak, which is different from a professional's contact point. Professionals have excellent anticipation and footwork, it's 70% feet and 30% hands. If you only practice hitting at the peak, you'll make errors in a match when your footwork is pressured, leading to a disconnect between practice and competition. That covers the height of the contact point. Now, let's discuss the forward-backward positioning. Take my stance for a serve and attack. I'm about 1 arm's length from the table. For a typical amateur push that lands deep, your contact point shouldn't be directly beside your body. That's too late. It also shouldn't be diagonally in front of you. That's too early. My feeling is, with some space between your knee and the table, the forehand contact point should be close to your body, not too far in front. This is a key point I discovered after a long time. My personality is impatient, so I used to rush my shots. The feeling should be that you contact the ball at a distance just as it's about to reach the side of your body, including your leg. The contact point is slightly in front of your leg, with your hip cleared to make space. Don't reach too far forward. If you make contact at the end of your swing, you won't generate any power. If the ball reaches the line of your hip, you're already too late. If you feel the contact is already beside your body, you must play a high, spinny loop. My sense is to keep the contact point relatively close to the body, colliding with the ball just before it reaches me, at the spot I just demonstrated. Let me demonstrate. This is the contact point for backspin. For topspin, you need to contact it slightly earlier, meeting the ball in front. This tendency to rush the shot is often more pronounced on the backhand. I let the ball come very close to my body before I start my swing, which gives me better spatial awareness. This isn't a strict rule, just my personal feeling. You can try it, it's better than having no sense of position at all. For both forehand and backhand against backspin, I let the ball get so close it almost jams me before I initiate my swing. There's no need to rush, because a backspin ball decelerates. I wait until it's near my body on both wings before swinging. My feeling is to start engaging with the backspin ball right as it's about to reach the line of my leg. On the backhand, I let it come very close to my body before I swing. If you feel the contact is beside you, or on the backhand, almost at your stomach, you must switch to a high, spinny loop to ensure the ball goes over the net. Avoid letting the ball get too far from your body at all costs, you will lose all power. Unless you are lunging forward into the shot. Especially on the backhand, you can't generate power from a distance. The fourth key point is using your legs. As an amateur, you must use your body to create the arc of the shot, because your hand control is less consistent than a professional's. For instance, against backspin, if my backswing drops downward, my body can't just rotate backward. They won't be synchronized. Whichever direction my arm moves, my body follows, rotating along the same radius. As my arm swings forward, my body must coordinate. Many players fail here because their body just rotates sideways. Instead, my body drives forward along the arc. Watch closely, my legs are driving forward. The arm follows its path. And as I close my forearm, my hip begins to drive forward. Whatever arc my arm makes, my body must follow that same arc. You must feel your body creating this arc for a stable and solid shot. Look at Mima Ito, her deceptive forehand comes from her body rotation, making it impossible to predict if she's going down the line or cross-court. Let me try to imitate her motion. I might not get it perfect, but her entire shot is generated by her body swinging and coiling. So what is this body feeling? We often talk about rotation, drive, and pushing off the ground, but what if you can't do all that? You need to feel your body itself is creating an arc. My body and arm together are drawing a parabola. Down, up, forward, and stop. Down, up, forward, and stop. So, when you're looping, feel like you're drawing an arc with your body, and your quality will improve significantly. Imagine you have no arm after the serve, you're using only your body to lift the ball. When you use your body to create the arm's arc, it will engage properly. The key is your intention. Players are too arm dominant and forget their body. The initial drop for weight transfer is far more important than the follow-through or mid-swing. Even if all you do is lower your contact point and stop rushing the ball, you've already improved a great deal. Fifth, let's solve the problem of hitting into the net. A backspin ball travels forward and then drops. I need to meet the ball on its downward path after the bounce. Therefore, your initial backswing height should be about level with the table. Then, your swing must reach a height where your hand finishes well above the net. You see, the height of my racket is basically right around here. You have to carry the ball over the net's height, but many players lack this feeling. Imagine contacting the ball at a low point but continuing your brushing motion until your racket is above the net. Only after that point should you apply full power. Focus on reaching this height before accelerating. Two common mistakes are trying to generate power right from the backswing, or lifting the arm straight up after contact. Some players might feel they can't complete their swing this way. Don't worry about that for now, just master this first step. If you can consistently play a heavy spin high loop every time, you'll be a very effective player, and your recovery will be faster too. Amateurs fear heavy spin, especially on the backhand, and can't block it. So regardless of your contact point, you must feel your racket face finishing above the net. After achieving that level of brushing, then you can add power for a much more consistent arc. I've spent a lot of time researching this. I see many of my students trying to generate power from the very start of their swing, which causes the ball to go into the net before the arc is created. For example, on a short ball, the correct technique is to get your racket head above the net. When your racket head finishes above the net, you will naturally create the necessary parabola and brushing motion. This will greatly improve any amateur's awareness of creating an arc. Sixth, why can't you lift some balls? It's because when your opponent's push is very heavy, even if I brush the ball, it still goes into the net. The reason is my brushing speed was too slow. Against a light backspin, a slow brushing motion works. But if the spin increases by 30%, that same speed will result in a net ball. Against a very heavy backspin, the ball's downward trajectory is much faster than your brushing speed, which is why you can't lift it. You are unable to overcome the spin your opponent has put on the ball. So, what's the solution? The heavier the spin, the faster I must brush the ball. If the ball has little spin, I can use a slower brushing motion. Watch, I'll use the same swing size. Against medium spin, I need to brush a bit faster. Against very heavy spin, I need to brush even faster. Even with a compact swing, I can lift a heavy backspin push, sometimes even looping it long. The solution is to strengthen your fingers. At the moment of contact, you need to make the racket face and tip accelerate rapidly to lift the fast-dropping ball. That is a true skill. This shot will only lift the ball, it won't have much power or speed, but it will get on the table. In reality, as long as you generate enough friction, you can overcome any amount of spin. There's no spin that can't be countered, because the loop is the ultimate solution to spin. So, the two most critical factors are finger strength and finger speed. It's not about the arm. Without friction, arm speed is useless. If I lock my wrist and just use my arm, I can't lift heavy spin no matter how fast I swing. However, against a light or no spin ball, I can get it over without wrist action because the ball itself isn't dropping. Therefore, the two keys to generating friction are your fingers and using your body to create the arc. Your fingers must be strong, because a soft grip at contact won't work. You must grip the racket firmly and accelerate while maintaining that firm grip. The key is to be powerful without being shaky, loose, or soft. As you improve and face stronger opponents in tougher environments, why do your shots suddenly fail? Because the spin is heavier and the situations are more complex, and your old skills are no longer sufficient. The first level of skill in table tennis is the ability to handle backspin. The second level is footwork. The third level is adjustability. This means you can handle balls of any speed, height, or placement, and can adjust your racket angle, power level, and the ratio of brush to drive. The fourth level is the ability to quickly identify an opponent's weakness and exploit it effectively, playing smart, tactical table tennis. If you are currently stuck at the first level, you will win simply by being able to loop backspin balls that your opponent cannot.